Welcome to Nice Finance, and hopefully we can encourage each other to hang in there. If you haven't done so already, please consider liking the video, sharing the video, and also subscribing to this channel for more videos like this.
Don't you love when the IRS randomly sends you a $2,700 bill and tells you that you didn't pay enough taxes one year? And then they tell you you can set up a payment plan, so you set up like $40 a month because that's all you can afford right now. And they basically come at you and they're like, just so you know, if you pay $40 a month for the next 6 or 7 years, you're gonna pay $6,000 in interest. So even though I originally owed them $2,700, I'm gonna pay like fucking $8,000 to the fucking IRS. Like, you can't make this shit up. So now I owe the IRS. My teeth are literally rotting out of my fucking head. I gotta go to a dental school. I'm praying that I've called them like 3 times and I fucking can't get through to anybody. My dentist is like, yeah, well, we can fix the broken tooth and like a quarter of your mouth. We can fix that for $330 if you have like $330. And I'm like, I literally don't have that. So I have to wait 2 weeks to get my teeth fixed. So I'm literally like chewing on one side because half of my mouth is fucked. I'm just like so fucking done. Like, I can't even afford to take care of my body. I can't afford to take care of my body. The government's taking my money. Like, I can't even fucking do this anymore. I'm so fucking done.
I think you can fire a lot of, or at least, get rid of a lot of the federal workforce, right? I mean, look, if you go to Washington, D.C. right now and you go to the Social Security Administration, there are a lot of people who aren't showing up to work. And you know why they're not showing up to work is COVID. They're still doing remote work in some of these agencies.
Okay, so first single women, then cat women, then couches, then IVF, and now we're going after remote workers. I honestly think the best thing we can do at this point is continue to put mics in front of these guys, because he just accidentally admitted like a ton of things in that clip. First of all, he admitted that he wants to get rid of jobs. They want less jobs. You guys, apparently we have too many jobs, which I guess makes sense. Because compared to Biden and Kamala, who added 16 million jobs during their time, Trump only added 2.7 million. If you want to see what that looks like on a graph, guess who was in office around that time? Yeah, so that statement tracks, I suppose. And then, of course, he clarifies that he wants to come for government jobs. And I wonder where else we could read a plan to get rid of a lot of the government. Yeah, you can't even say they're saying the quiet part out loud anymore because they've been yelling it through the streets. There is no quiet part, but it doesn't end there. Mr. J.D. Eyeliner Couch Vance then clarifies that he also specifically wants to end all this remote work nonsense, which really just translates to that administration once again sucking up to no one except for the corporate mega boss overlords that we all can't stand. Because they're the only other people I can think of that keep also trying to push this repeated rhetoric that remote work isn't viable, even though we've already proven that it is quite viable. So along with this dog that clearly doesn't like him and you cannot convince me wasn't rented for this interview, he probably can sense JD's weird subconscious desire to eat him and all cats. They also have a plan, I guess, to make less jobs for the American people. While Kamala has made it clear her plans to try and create jobs, better housing, protecting the American people and workers instead of coming after them. Yeah, I know who I'll be voting for.
If Trump becomes president, it's going to feel the same way it feels when you get that easy teacher in high school. And like after a year of like shitty teachers, and then you get that one easy teacher and you're like, oh, thank God, like I don't have as much work anymore. Life is easier. Like I can breathe. I can still learn, but I'm not like getting yelled at all the time. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like Trump is the breath of fresh air that we need. We need to go back to like when groceries weren't $500 for 2 bags. And like our money actually meant something when Trump was in office. I feel like Biden just screwed us. I'm sorry. Democrats always screw us. I always feel it every time a Democrat's in office.
This outrageous article is claiming that groceries are cheaper now than they were 5 years ago. So it wants to know why people are still so mad about high prices. Well, first off, most Americans' bank accounts did not get the memo that groceries are now more affordable. What's crazy is that the article outright admits that groceries are not actually cheaper. But it says when you factor in all of those rising wages over the past few years, they're cheaper in terms of the hours worked to afford groceries. Essentially, the article is saying, hey, you now have to work fewer hours to afford the same amount of groceries. So shut up and stop complaining. Now, that whole wage increase thing is highly suspect. But you know what they didn't factor in? Shrinkflation. Remember, even if you're buying the exact same basket of goods as you were in 2019, That basket is a lot smaller because the products are a lot smaller. So no, you're not buying the same quantity of stuff. The article even goes on to openly question why people even worry about the cost of groceries increasing, because after all, rent and insurance cost much, much more. For reference, here's just how much food prices have increased since 2020. And they're saying people shouldn't be worried about that? They're literally saying, don't worry that food prices are costing an arm, because rent and insurance are costing you a leg. Obviously, people should be worried about both, and they are. It makes sense that people are counting every penny when they're having to go down to the last cent, or even rely on credit in order to fund basic essentials. This article is absurd and even insulting. As always, for more interesting and informative stories on tech, business, the economy, and jobs, be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe to my channel here.
I can't afford groceries is not something I've ever said, let alone thought, because I've never had that problem, quite frankly. I can obviously empathize with the people who can't afford groceries because obviously everyone should be able to feed themselves and their families. So it's so funny to me when I see people saying things like, I can't afford groceries, and in the next breath, telling women to go to another state or to just move to another state where it's not banned or where it's legal, because it's that easy, right? Like, I'm sorry, if you can't afford groceries, why don't you just make more money? Just get another job. It's not like it's illegal. It's not like it's banned, right? Forget about that. If you can't afford groceries in your state, why don't you just drive to another state? Prices aren't uniform across the country. Surely you can find cheaper groceries, right? So just go to another state. Just move. It's ridiculous.
When are they going to be honest with us and be truthful about the amount of houses that are in foreclosure right now? If you go on Zillow Red fan, or if you just ride around to the more prestige neighborhoods, you will notice that majority of these homes are empty. And you have to question, why isn't there a sign outside? Are they waiting till after the election to tell the truth about the status of what's really going on with the economy? Because let's just be totally upfront and transparent. It's worse than 2020, right? It's everything. I posted it last week that 60% of small business owners have filed for bankruptcy. Bankruptcy, people. But y'all want to get on here and act like everything is normal. I get it. Let's just be honest. It's nothing out here for small businesses.
My motto for this year has been, y'all will get it when I got it. And I don't got it, so y'all can't get it. And even if I did have it, it's too late now, because when y'all send it to collections, I send it to God. I'm done. I have surrendered. I recognize that my content does trigger people because of the fact that we have been programmed for so long. I was the same way a few years ago when I became debt free. Once I paid off all my debt and my credit score dropped, I immediately knew then that this was not a system that I want to play with. Because how you gonna drop my score and I paid off my debt? In a time where the average person doesn't even have $1,000 for an emergency, why are these same people being told that they need to prioritize paying off debt to million, sometimes billion-dollar corporations? You know, and I saw a few comments of people saying, oh, you say that now until one of those creditors sue you. If they sue me, I'm gonna file bankruptcy. That doesn't scare me. Well, bankruptcy is going to ruin your credit for the next 10 years. Okay. And what's going to happen if I don't pay my bills because I can't afford them? The same thing. Might as well do bankruptcy. People say that I give bad advice, but I don't give any advice. My goal is to just show the real. I feel like on the internet, everybody is rich. Some of us struggling though, you know, and I'm one of those people that's trying to figure things out, and I'm not going to prioritize creditors. I'm just not. Sorry. I'm telling you to do what's best for you and your family. F those bills. They will be there. They'll be there.
Everybody needs to tell me what they do for a living because I'm literally flabbergasted. I'm 28 years old. I was in the Air Force for literally 7 years. Half of my 20s I spent in active duty military. I have thousands of hours of experience. I've been working since I was 13 years old. I've worked in hospitals, eating disorder rehabilitations centers, residential centers. I've worked as a barista. I have customer service. I've worked on the telephone lines. I've worked as a florist. I've literally done almost everything. I'm a full-time college student on my GI Bill. Where I live, the average rent is at least $2,800 to $3,000 a month. Just for like literally black mold, horrible like living situations. Like it's just disgusting. Tell me why. Like, I'm almost done with my degree and I have so much experience like in the nutrition world and like healthcare, all that stuff. I have my associate's degree in health service management. Every job that is that's open, that's hiring is literally it's like $15 an hour. I genuinely I don't understand what's going on in the country.
I am extremely grateful that I grew up Mexican poor and not American poor. According to statistics in Mexico in 2016, 43.2% of the population was poor. That number has considerably diminished. So in 2022, it's only 36.3% of population. But poverty is so common in Mexico, you don't really get to see or feel marginalized. Walk around in the rich kid's neighborhood and notice everything that you lack. The kind of poverty I had in Mexico was speaking to people whose parents didn't speak Spanish. They spoke their indigenous native tongues. They wore their regional clothing and cooked outside on leña and made tortillas a mano and did agriculture. And Mexican poverty was people just doing normal human things from a society that wasn't hyper-focused on cars, houses, property, travel, all these things that, do we really need them? I'm not trying to romanticize poverty. I understand the implications of lack of resources or opportunity, but the definition of what a fundamental resource is changes according to the society it's presented to. So, poverty-stricken communities in Texas that I've seen are mostly Black and brown. Also, they are just right next to the family that has the cars and the houses and the travel. I think that the feeling of unfulfilledness comes from constant comparing themselves. It's impossible not to. I mean, I don't know if I'm getting my point across. But I'm grateful I grew up Mexican poor and not American poor.
Hey, I've got some really bad news, but you're being laid off. Okay. You're not sad? Nope. I knew layoffs were coming, so I've been job hunting for weeks, and I actually just got another job offer last night. How did you know layoffs were coming? I just found out this morning, and I'm your manager. Oh, I checked the WARN notices. The what? WARN notices. The Worker Adjustment and Retraining Notification Act of 1988 is a U.S. labor law that protects employees by requiring most employers with 100 or more employees to provide a 60 calendar day heads up of planned closings and mass layoffs. All you gotta do is Google WARN Act plus your state, and you'll find a .gov website that will show you a full list of places laying off employees. Dang, I didn't know that. Most people don't.
Showcased in those videos, we are facing a time that we've never seen before in this country. We are all in this together, and we definitely should prepare and get ourselves ready, because it could definitely get worse before it gets better.